Is everyone having a good time? How many are here to support this ministry and to glorify our living God? It's a little hard to follow what Miss Sharon just shared, but as a church, Grace Bible Church, we are committed in keeping the main thing the main thing. And for us, the main thing is to share the gospel of Jesus Christ. Everything else that we do has to be surrounded by that first thing. Knowing Jesus and letting him be known. Can I get an amen? I just want to begin to say how honored I am of the privilege to be here tonight to share and support Touching Hearts and Souls ministry. And I would like to take a moment and thank Pastor Franz for the opportunity. And I think Pastor Franz deserves a big hand of applause, not only for this, but for what he does as a minister. But as I was preparing to share a few words with you tonight, of course I reached out to Pastor Franz and I asked, what is the theme of the gathering? And he replied, light at the end of the tunnel. Immediately my mind, my heart, and my prayers went to the current situation in Haiti. This led me to the realization that in our lives, all of us face hardships at one point or another. Some of us face these hardships over and over and over. And these hardships in the Bible, they're called trials. But thinking about Haiti, and thinking about the children and the people of Haiti with this regard, I quickly stopped to consider what happens when we find ourselves in these types of situations, when we find ourselves in the midst of trials. And I think what happens is that most of us begin to ask questions. Some of the questions that we ask ourselves, why is this happening? And I'm sure that as you sit here tonight and you are here to support Pastor Francis' ministry, but you're thinking about the people in Haiti. And many of you probably have family members still living there, and you're probably asking yourself this very question, why is this happening? Why is God allowing this to happen? But the last question that many people forget to ask, and we should all be asking, is God, how can I learn from this situation, and how can my faith grow from these trials? The reality is that we all have problems. Amen? Amen. We all go through tribulations, but life doesn't end with the problems. We need to recognize what they are, and we need to deal with them. Because the reality is that we grow as Christians when our faith is tested and when we go through these trials. And we go through these trials for many different reasons. So let's take a look at that first question. Why is this happening? As we put our focus in the situation in Haiti, and I'm certain, as I said before, that most of you probably have family members that are still living in the midst of this situation there in Haiti. Maybe some might be thinking, why is this happening? Why is God allowing this to happen? And I wanted to share a quick story that we find in the Bible that's going to help us understand and clarify what is really going on. In 2 Samuel chapter 11, King David lusts over a woman. He sleeps with her, and then he conspires to have her husband killed and to get him out of the way. David's sin was exposed by a man named Nathan. Nathan came to King David and related a story about a man that was doing something wrong. And King David finally said that man should be put to death. And the prophet Nathan said, but that man is you. And the reason that I talk about this story is that I want you to understand that when we go through these situations and these trials, not only as people, as a country, we have to understand that the Lord is always there for us. David, at the end of the story, he lost his son. It was David's sin and his disregard for God's Lord that brought him to this tragedy. And I share this because we need to understand that sometimes people think that these situations and these trials come to our lives because of the decisions that we make and the actions that we take. But the reality is that there are points in our lives that none of that is true. Let's take the life of Jesus, for instance. Jesus went through the biggest trials that any human could ever go through. And it wasn't because of something he did. It wasn't because of a decision that he made. In Matthew 26:3-4, the Bible tells us, then the chief priests and elders of the people assembled in the palace of the high priest, whose name was Caiaphas, and they schemed to arrest Jesus. Let me take a step back here. Jesus was arrested for what he believed. It was nothing of consequences of any action that he had taken. And I want you to think about that as we think about what's going through in the country of Haiti. God uses these trials and these tribulations in our lives to help us get closer to Him. And as we sit here tonight and we think about how can we support this ministry, we have to stop to think and understand that in the midst of where this ministry happens to lie, right now, they are going through trials and tribulation. They are going through some very hard times. They need us today more than ever. They need your support today more than ever. Independently, if you are from Haiti, you are from Puerto Rico, you are from Jamaica, it doesn't matter where you're from. If you profess your belief in Jesus Christ, it is not only an honor and a privilege for us to be able to support this ministry, it is our responsibility. It's what God has called us to do. But let's look at that second question. Why does God allow this? God allows this in our lives and in the lives of these countries. It's only for one reason. It's so we can have short accounts with God and we can come to trust in Him every day more and more. Let me put this to the side. As we think about why we are here, we spoke a bit, Sharon spoke a bit about what grace does in missions, and we do that because we truly believe that God has called us to make Him known. But why do we do this? Because there is so much poverty in the world. There's so much despair in the world. There is very little hope in the world. But the reality is, as Christians, we not only not have no hope, we are not settled on false hope. We live by the true hope. And that hope is Jesus Christ. And as we think about what it is that brought us here tonight, what brought us here is the desire that God has put in the heart of a man, the heart of a pastor, to step out of his comfort zone and support children in a country that so much needs our support. So as I finish with what God has placed in my heart, I just want to exhort you tonight that as you think about Haiti, and again I know there's many people here that still have family members in Haiti, as you think about what they're going through at this very moment, think about the theme of this gathering. There is always light at the end of the tunnel. That light is the light of the world. That light is Jesus Christ. May God bless you.